As well as fantastic industrial development, the last couple decades of the 19th century also witnessed some strong pushback on the part of American workers against what they saw as an unfair situation in the economic world and the political world. Governments, state governments, the federal government, local governments had all been very, very favorable to the development of industry, had passed laws that had made it easy for industry to grow, had practiced economic programs that had allowed for massive fortunes to be made, and the workers began to realize that they weren't benefiting as much as they'd like to. And so what we see is, along with the benefits that go to the captains of industry and the very, very wealthy, are demands by the lower classes for a share of the profitability. And when these aren't forthcoming, we're going to see the workers start to resist. They're going to resist by forming organized labor organizations. They're going to resist by going on strike. And sometimes they're even going to resist by violently attacking the means of production or the producers themselves. So what we have is a situation in which the needs of the country, the needs of the workers, the needs of big business seem to be in conflict. And there's going to have to be some kind of a reconciliation. Organized labor is one option. Workers joining unions and then lobbying to get unions legalized. Plant managers, factory owners taking steps to make the situations in their factories safer, make the living conditions and the working conditions more acceptable, raise wages, acknowledge the workers' rights, and finally, workers determining what is and is not a legitimate response and needs of the people. And in all of this, the federal government is going to be in the background. Sometimes the federal government is going to be working hand in hand with industry, and sometimes the federal government is simply going to be trying to avert the worst possible situations. This is also the era in which anarchists are working to overthrow governments, socialism is becoming a powerful political force, and even communism is starting to be bandied around in some of these industrialized nations as an alternative to a traditional capitalistic economy. Some of those same big industries that had provided the boom and the growth in the economy in the decades immediately following the Civil War become the locations of massive resistance on the part of workers in the 1890s. At Homestead, Pennsylvania, one of the sites of Andrew Carnegie's big steel industries, a violent strike takes place between workers and representatives of management. Similarly, in a utopian sort of society, in the town of Pullman, a city that was built specifically to make the factory and its workers live in a more harmonious existence, workers will revolt and catch the ownership off guard. They don't understand what the complaints are in such a good and well-organized area. But in all, these resistances, these strikes, are going to demonstrate how serious labor is about its demands.